Hello and welcome to Camera Reviews. Liverpool, looking out to sea, Peter Marlow, published by Jonathan Cape in 1993. This is the first edition. I'm not sure if you can buy this anymore. You may be able to find one on Amazon or one of the specialist photography bookshops on the internet. It's a really special book to me. First of all, this was the first book, the first proper photography book I had, which was given to me from the actual photographer, and it was somebody who I began to understand the more I was around him, and I began to understand the way he worked as a person and as a photographer, and beforehand looking at his work from a distance as a sort of young photographer. It was a really cherished experience being around this whole period, but then to have this book, and Peter signed it, and it was just a really poignant, just a really important time for me as a young, well, I wasn't that young, but I was young, student type photographer trying to make my mark and learning the ropes. Anyway, this is a beautiful, beautiful book, and it is a big book, 13 inches by 13 by 10. I'll put a bit of A4 on it. You can see the sort of size of it. It's a beautiful format, and I love this. I love this sort of horizontal format. I know the way Peter shot a lot of this. I'm not going to go too much into that because that's Peter's business. Sadly, Peter died a while ago, and may he rest in peace. And what he left behind was this sort of legacy at Magnum Photos. And I'll put a link to Magnum on the web. I'm sorry, I'll put a link to Magnum on the end of this video and down in the information box. And I think you should just stick his name into the search engine and go and look for him. I'm going to show you most of this book because it needs looking at, and I just think you can go and buy this and feel the quality of the print and the book itself. It's something really special. So Liverpool, it's about Liverpool. I'll read some of this. On assignment in Liverpool in the early 80s, photojournalist Peter Marlow realised the enormity of the city's devastation and reconstruction. He knew that what he witnessed could not be covered in a single magazine story, and he returned many times over subsequent years, and this is the result of it. So let's have a look. Introduced by Ian Jack. Like I said, Jonathan Cape, looking out to sea. What I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this down and I'll just give it time. So what you'll find is that the book's on, oh no, some of the books got 2 picture formats. In fact, most of the books got it. I just opened it up before and there was 1 picture. I think I'll keep it down and then I'll shuffle the pictures about. Okay, so I'll go through some of it. I'll go through most of it. I think you should see if you can find this and buy it. So this for me, oh man, check it out. There's just a beauty in the process of light, the shooting, the planning, the interaction, and the final print, the dedication Peter put into the fine-tuning of the whole process. It's beautiful. It's like a canvas, isn't it? It's like a piece of artwork. So beautiful. And you might think, oh, you know, I'm going on and ranting up, like, you know, like being sort of melancholy about it, whatever the word is. So what? You know, we've all got our favourites. We've all got things which just really evoke things within us. And this is, for me, the photography, the person himself brings out a lot of emotion in me and time spent. This is, I think, Ian Jack's intro. Yes, it is, January 93. Flying south towards the Mersey, 89. I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. Well, I just want to see these pictures. They almost feel, I don't know if this might come across right, but they almost feel like they're actually the prints. Like you have a little sort of, you know, fibre-based print in your hand or a machine print. The quality is that good. Look at that. That's a sort of dedicated shot. That's getting up in the middle of the night and getting to you know, the Belleville shopping centre and grabbing stuff like that, and just getting the fog and just getting it, maybe checking the weather forecast and getting, that's dedication, you know, that's being in the right place at the right time on the right day. Let's have a look at that. It's just, there's a real what's Peter trying to get in this? There's an ambiguity in it, there's all, isn't there? There's a sort of surrealism, and I think that's something. Scavenging for copper wire, Bidston Moss and Birkenhead. There's something about Peter, what Peter's trying to portray. There's a sort of magical era. Is era the right word? There's a magical element to this. It's leaving you thinking like it's not this world, you know. It's like a detached part of this country. And he's done it in such a beautifully observed way. The design, the lighting. Look at this, man. I'm squeaking now. Look at this. This is photography. This is beautifully observed photography. And then Peter went very square format later on. A little bit later than this, he started moving into square format work. And he still captured the design. He understood. He just so understands composition and the design elements, the lighting. It's just all there. Look at this. And you have to patiently wait for stuff like this. Obviously, maybe he stumbled across the lady, but there's almost like a painting. This is almost like a work of art. There's a connection with everything going on with his shots. I mean, look at the colour tone. It's just beautiful. One of my favourite shots. Almost like for me, for those of you looking at and listening to me and thinking what's he got on about, there's an element of Brian Griffin in this again. I can see this sort of cinematic scope feel to it. It's a cinematic element to it, and there's this contrast and this almost noir feel to it. And I see that in a bit of Brian Griffin's work, which I love. It's definitely producing like a dreamlike quality to the whole element of this book. And that says there, it's like looking out to the Mersey from a street. That's like the West End of Newcastle. You can get down part from I think it's Scottsford Road or somewhere. You go down and you can. It's like classic working class like streets with the Weir or the Mersey or the whatever it is, the Tyne, sorry, in the fog. And so it's like a classic British scene now. You can see the looking out to sea element. He's made these a bit timeless, you know. Look at that. It's just, I've been in that situation so often, and his just use of, he's teaching me so much. Just looking at this is getting me inspired. It's teaching me to get out again and look and rethink everything I'm shooting, everything I'm doing. And you can see there's a little bit of post-production and I'm not saying total post-production, overpowering post-production, but you can see there's a little bit of play in the printing. But so what? People do it in Photoshop. And just getting the light. Maybe there was a wrap of sunlight, you know, maybe that was the sunlight coming through and that was a little bit of light being, but just the understanding of use of light. And just by looking at this, a street off Scotland Road, just by looking at Brunswick Dock, just by looking at the concept of it, check that out. I'm inspired. I just want to get out. I want to get out and investigate. I know what Peter used. I sort of knew the sort of way he was shooting, what he was using to get the grey effect and stuff like that. But I know the way he was producing the pictures, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to discuss them. I just can see some of the aspects of the way he shot in here and the final elements of the final outcomes of the pictures as well. And he knew what he was doing, totally. Kirby Boys Club Disco, 1985. Look at that, isn't that amazing, man? Street, that's a famous shot. I'm missing quite a few out, you know, I'm just skimming through some of, one of my favourite shots is coming up. This shot. But this is one of my favourite. I love that, isn't that amazing? Just look at the tonal range with available light. The daylight's coming through. Just look at the range, look at the beauty of the film he was using in these exposures. Just amazing. I'm only halfway through the book. I'm going to skim some of it. Ian Rush scores his second Liverpool goal inside Jesus Winos during the Liverpool-Everton FA Cup final. May 1986. Oh, look at that. What a shot. I remember this shot now. What an understanding. And that's the beauty of black and white. You can take the shapes and light and it's like a work of art if you know what you're doing. That's a great shot as well, huh? Look at that. Widnes Rugby League Club after losing to Castleford. Okay. Seacombe Ferry Terminal, 1985. Oh, look at that. Oh, what a beautiful... I just forgot about shots. The Last Occupier of a Tire Block. It's just his understanding and getting the dynamics of a shot to work in such a passive environment with two, you know, aggressive animals as well to a point, but just sheer beautiful understanding of how he's trying to create something. You got to remember, this is 1988. This is so ahead of its time. So ahead of its time. New Brighton Beach. I've just been up there to look at the new Parr. Well, it's not new. Look at Parr and Woods New Brighton exhibition. It was fantastic. And I didn't video it. I really kicked myself later when I realised I didn't take my video to video next time. Look at that. That's all right. Oh, I love that. Look at that. It's stripped bare, this is all stripped. It's stripped, there's a tone, there's a feel, there's a dreamlike state, there's a beauty within the design and the concept of it, and it's talking about, it's an interesting question mark, isn't it? It's about beautifully put together book, a beautiful visualization of somebody who's going for acupuncture for heroin, and he's turned it into a work of art, and it's like, you know, and the sort of underlying current is really about people who are suffering, people who are in turmoil, and has he done it justice? He's given it a different entity, hasn't he? He's given it something else. He's elevated it. He's elevated the troubles and done something. He's done something different with it, and you can only applaud that. You know, you can only give him a round of applause for actually getting out there and giving us this beautiful insight into somewhere we wouldn't see it in this perspective, giving us in this perspective which we might never see. And it's amazing, what a legacy to leave behind, you know. And A lot of this work was so inspirational to me 20 years ago, and it helped me get my first book together, because I just could see that perseverance and vision could get you somewhere. Hard work. And you know, this proves it. And Peter just went on and on and on to produce amazing work. What can I say, you know? And I think this book is a continuous expression of gratitude to Liverpool and to the people I was privileged to be with and photograph. They were prepared to give me something of themselves without asking for anything in return, that I'll always cherish. I would also like to thank the others who indirectly helped make this book the reality, my daughter Chloe, my family and friends. There are many who believed in the project and gave their opinions and support, and with great appreciated honesty, in particular Fiona Naylor, his wife, Mark Holborn, Paul Trevor, who I love in his work, Christine Perkins, and a special thank you to all my colleagues at Magnum, who not only showed me the way but were always there when I needed them. Peter Marlow, rest in peace, Peter, mate. Rest in peace. I'll treasure this for the rest of my life. It's amazing. Thank you. Go and buy this. Go and find it. Go and check out Peter's work. I'll put a link for Magnum.